Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. So, shall we start? Yes, sir. So, I'm going to start.
Yes, Anshul.
Hello and a very
Okay.
very good evening to all of you. I'm Anshu Saseva, a member of operations team IRC, and I welcome you all to the very first session of ACT, that is Alumni Career Talks, where we would have esteemed alumni sharing their experiences of their career. Today, IRC, in collaboration with EES, brings you the chapter Sunbath, in which we'll be having discussions over the topic UPSC and its preparation. So today I'm very much honored to introduce Mr. Amit Verma, who is currently serving as an IPS officer as our guest. He graduated in 2012 as a civil engineer from IITR and has served as an IRSC before. He will today be guiding you on how to prepare general studies for the UPSC CSE examination. So without wasting any more time, I would like to hand over the platform to you, sir, to enlighten us with your knowledge.
Thank you, Anshul.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anshul. I am audible, right?
Yes, sir, you are perfectly audible.
Hello. Okay. Thank you, Anshul. First of all, I would like to thank Anshul and his team for inviting me here. And it's very good. It's a good feeling to talk with my college mates. And firstly, I would like to tell that start from this that a brief introduction or brief of my journey, which I have gone through after passing out from IIT Roorkee in 2012. My branch was civil engineering, and I have passed out in 2012. And in 2012, actually, there was a talk that the pattern would be changing. So UPSC pattern was not fixed at that point of time. In 2012, there were two optional, and means it was sure that the pattern would change, but what would be the pattern? It was not known to us. So me and my some of my friends had thought of giving civil service examination during our final year. But as the pattern was not known, so we thought of going for the on-campus placement and then preparing it afterwards once the pattern is known. So I took the campus placement and I was placed in Wipro Technologies and as a business associate. And then I joined Wipro in Bangalore. And after receiving training there, I was posted in Pune. So I did that job for around about 18 to 19 months. And during that time, the pattern got changed. And in 2013, one single optional and other changes were introduced. So I attempted that in 2013 and I cleared prelims in my first attempt. And after that, I prepared for mains. So at that point of time, you had to select your optional after giving prelims. So I selected my optional as public administration. So, but after giving the exam and mains, I realized that I won't be able to do justice with public administration. So I changed my optional to anthropology. So, but as I had to quit my job, so I thought of giving engineering services before and then quitting it. So after I quit in March, I guess, and then in June, engineering service exam was there. So I gave that, and after that, I was selected in that first attempt. I was selected in engineering services, and so that gave me some confidence to prepare my. I had option B, so plan B. So I was fully motivated to prepare for civil services. So after that, I gave attempt. One and fourth attempt, I was selected in civil services as IPS. So here's my brief journey, and I got selected with anthropology as my option. So I have changed. I have also changed my option. So I I meant to say that if you have selected any optional, then it go ahead with it. And if you want to change it, then also you can change it because right now you have only one optional. So it's not like that. If you have selected one optional, then you have to stick with that. And now I am posted as SDPO Dinhata in Kuch Bihar. It's in West Bengal, 4.5 hours away from Siliguri. And this is my second posting. And firstly, I was posted in Barakpur, Commissionerate. Then after completing training, I was posted in Barakpur. Then I am posted here. And last Monday only I I was voted as additional S2, and I would be joining in Matabanga in Kujbeh district only. So, as far as preparing in college is concerned, I would like to say that from it's always if you have made your mind. For example, some people are deciding about that they would be giving civils or not. Then it's fine. Otherwise, if you have made your mind that you would be giving civil services, then it's better to start early so that you can prepare accordingly. So the most important pillars of preparation are first is the syllabus, and second is previous year question paper. Syllabus actually means I've learned from my mistakes, and also I've seen that people see syllabus and previous year question paper afterwards. First they start preparation, then afterwards they realize that they have to see previous year question papers, and they are not analyzing that syllabus and previous year question papers thoroughly. So the important point here is to see the syllabus and the previous year question paper. For example, for general studies, we have in paper one world history, modern history, and other topics. So we have to see what topics are mentioned in the syllabus and prepare accordingly. You write your sources in the syllabus only. That for example, for NCRT in world history, then go for that. That for example, you're following other book like normal you and all other books, then you can mention there so that afterwards you are able to comprehend that what courses you are following for any particular topic mentioned in the syllabus. The same goes with paper 2, where we have politics and administrative topics, paper 3 for science and tech, and paper 4 for ethics. So for every topic you need to study some source right there so that you are able to prepare for every topic. And I think now, Anshul, if you can ask the questions which we have, then I will be able to better deal with the topic.
Yes, sir. So even during your speech, I had a lot of questions in my mind also. Okay, so let us go through all of them one by one.
Sure.
So firstly, the question which we have from most of us and most of basically from most of the second year, right? That what was your motivation to go for civil services examination, not for placements or not for any other thing?
Actually, my maternal uncle, he's an IAS officer in Rajasthan cadre. So during my summer vacations, I used to go there. So I was able to see, it may sound fancy, but I was able to see what changes he could bring in many of the aspects as far as district is concerned. So I was motivated in the starting with that. When I joined college, I was not that much motivated, but in third year and fourth year, I thought of giving civils. Then it came naturally to me that I would be able to make more impact as with my knowledge and with my skills if I join civil services. So that motivated me. Okay.
Okay, sir. Perfect. So the next question is how to gauge preparation level initially, like how to know if I'm on the right track if I have just started.
To gauge your preparedness, it would be best firstly you should always be seeing the syllabus so that you have covered every topic. This is regarding the preparation. And to know how much you have prepared on any topic, you select 2 to 3 questions and answer those questions on the topic. Firstly, you have to, every time you write a question, you do it within the time limit. For example, you have to write about every question in 7 to 8 minutes, maximum 9 minutes, and that to 150 to 100 words. So go with that. So that would help you to understand that how much you have prepared that topic. And after that, for prelims point of view, you can always attempt 20 to 25 questions daily, so that on any topic, or for example, for general also you can do that. If you want subject wise, then you can do that. So that it would be, for example, if you are getting 15 questions right out of 25, then it would be helping you to understand that you are on right track. And always if you are attempting these questions or a mock, then your thinking should be to correct your mistakes. Actually, that's the most important point. It's not about that how much questions you are getting right in the first in the mock. For example, if you are getting 5 questions right out of 20, then also it's fine. But you have to understand why you are not getting those 20 questions right. So either you have not studied the topic, then you study it. If you have not, you are not able to recollect the topic, then revise it. So revision is very important. You have to revise it again and again so that you are able to attempt the questions with confidence. Hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Just a announcement in between I want to make. Firstly, we will have all the questions which were filled from that form. And after that, if someone has any questions, then you can put that in the chat box. Okay. All right. So the next question is how to choose the right optional subject. This is the most confusing question which arises in anybody.
Yes, yes. It was very difficult for me also to choose the optional. I've done my graduation in civil engineering, so firstly I was thinking of choosing that, but the syllabus is so wide, and when I went through the previous year question papers, then I thought that I would be choosing. I would not be. You have to firstly you have to, if you have any interest, then you can choose that I would be choosing this option. For example, if someone is interested in philosophy or in sociology, then he can choose that he is going to choose sociology option. But for that also he must look at the syllabus as well as the previous year question papers. So if you are interested in sociology or philosophy or anthropology, in that case also you must see that the syllabus as well as the previous year question papers. So, and if you are comfortable and confident with that, means you have not prepared the content, so you won't be able to answer that. But you would be knowing that what type of questions are asked in this particular optional, and would it be good for me to write those answers in during exam. And so first thing is that if you are interested in any subject, then go for it, because some people are naturally inclined towards any option. For example, psychology is also there, and the philosophy is there. So if you are naturally inclined and interested, go for that option. And second is, if you are not able to, you have no inclination or interest, then go for example, your graduation subject. For example, civil engineering, mechanical engineering, you can also go for that. So for that also you need to see the syllabus and the previous year question papers. But if you are not comfortable with those previous year question papers in your graduation subject, then it's better to change your optional. And for in my case, and if you are not able to make any choice depending upon your interest, then go for what we say that I won't be taking this option. This is sure. For example, in my case, civil engineering, I was sure that I won't be taking civil engineering. Then I went for public administration. But after I gave the mains exam in 2013, I decided that I won't be taking public administration. So two options are out, and mathematics I won't be taking. So by that by that exercise, I was able to shortlist 2 to 3 options. One was geography, and another was anthropology, and one was philosophy also. So with these 3 options, I had to make my choice. So with geography also, at that point of time, when I went through the syllabus and previous year question papers, it has a quite wide syllabus. So it won't be possible for me to prepare along with my job. I had to join coaching and all those things. So I thought of choosing the anthropology, and one of our college seniors also was selected with the anthropology as an option. So I took guidance from him and I prepared. And one of my batchmate, who is an IS officer in UP Garden, my batch only. So he also, me and him took that optional. So it was good for us that we studied together anthropology, and his optional was geography in the starting. So he changed from geography to anthropology, and I changed from public administration to anthropology. So first is, either you have any interest, then you choose that option. Otherwise, you choose your graduation subject. And if not these two, then take that optional, which you are more comfortable and confident, go by that thing, that exercise, that you won't be taking this optional, and finally shortlisting 2 to 3 options you are interested in, or you find that these 3 would be good. and then make your choice depending upon the syllabus and the previous year question papers. And even if you are selected an option, for example, I had chosen public administration. Then also, if you give an attempt and you feel that later on, I'm saying that if you give an attempt and you feel that you are not comfortable with it, then change it. It's always better to change it and then prepare. Otherwise, you would always be thinking that if I would have taken that option, I would have better performance, or I would have taken that option, I would have been selected by now. So it's better to change it. I hope it answers your question.
Okay, so that overall sums like firstly we have to explore the different subjects. We have to see the
Yes.
syllabus of the subjects and we have to see the previous year's question papers. And after that we have to decide maybe like if we do GS, then after that we know that whether geography is my cup of tea or polity is my cup of
Yes.
tea or whatever.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So the next question is, should I go for IES first if my optional is going to be an engineering subject? How tough does it become to prepare with a job?
As far as my attempt at engineering services is concerned, I think after my attempt, the engineering service pattern also got changed. So right now they have prelims as well as means. As far as
Yes,
I'm
sir. Yes,
aware.
sir. Right now they have prelims as well as
Uh,
means.
so if you are basically, if you are choosing your graduation subject, then it would be easy for you to check your preparedness through engineering services, because engineering services papers are more or less similar to civil civil papers, mains papers. Your and secondly is that your syllabus, the syllabus of both are also more or less same. So it would be helpful for you that if you prepare and give engineering along with civil services. And with firstly, if you qualify, for example, in this year, then you will always be getting 1 year before you join the services. For example, if you join Indian Railways or CPWD, then you would get at least 1 year. So in 1 year you can give. So basically, by alongside by giving, you will be giving two attempts. One with along with engineering services, and after that one attempt before you join the engineering services. So it's good, I guess. If you are prepared in two attempts, then you would be comfortably able to give third attempt along with training, not along with job, but training. Training part is not that hectic as compared to the job of engineering services. So along with training, so three attempts are being covered here. So I think, and if you want, you can take leave afterwards in engineering services. Means if you want as a plan B, actually the thing is uh, motivation for different people comes in different ways. For example, I was motivated if I had a job, I would be able to utilize my time more effectively. For example, I'm having 8 hours, I won't be able to study that much effectively as compared to if I am having 4 to 5 hours, limited time. So in limited time, productivity increases. It's not same with others. So if you would become more productive with a job, then do that. Otherwise, prepare solely for civil services. And after 2 to 3 attempts, you can think of any other your plan B. I think that would be answering your query.
So what do you think, sir? Like, is it feasible to choose engineering subject as an optional subject? Because the engineering subject has a wide syllabus and it's quite intense
Uh,
as compared to some other subjects as an optional.
Me, actually, what happened was with me was I had to choose my optional in fourth year. Matlab, if I would have started in first year or second year, then it would have been very easy. The syllabus is wide if you are studying it in final year. But if from the first year, if you are studying that, so you can check the UPSC syllabus, and depending upon the syllabus, you can study, and it will be very good. Our library is so good, then you would be able, and professors are also very good. So you would be able to solve those previous year question papers and UPSC syllabus topics with the help of all these resources which are available in college. And it's very difficult if you have passed out from college or you are in final year, only 2 to 3 months are left, that you won't be able to prepare that wide topic subject in that much of time. Okay, so what we have been in civil engineering, what we had been taught we were most of the topics were covered, but not in that much depth which were required for civil service. Engineering services, it was I read with my college notes only for engineering services. Fine, no issues with that. But for civil services, the depth increases. We have to solve those questions and all those. The difficulty level also increases. For that, we have to study from first year. No, first year is quite early. From second year, when you are reading a particular topic or a particular subject of your graduation subject, then you refer to the UPSC syllabus that what topics are mentioned there. So depending upon that, you prepare them. Then it will be very easy for you to score good in your graduation subject.
Okay, sir. Sir, here some students have a confusion. Like suppose I do not
Yes, yes.
choose my engineering subject as an optional in UPSC CSE, and
Okay.
so I have to study the other subjects like GS and English, Hindi, whatever. So my
Yes, yes.
engineering, the knowledge which I'm getting in my engineering is of no use
Hmm.
in the examination, or it is not
The
going
thing,
to make any difference when I'm going for my job. So how to handle this kind of situation? Like I'm studying
no,
for, I'm in my college life, I have to study for my engineering also. I have to score a good GPA, but there needs
mhm.
to be certain motivation that where this engineering would help me in future. So why I have to study this?
This question was asked in my interview as well. That you
Oh my
have
God.
done from engineering from IIT Roorkee and now you are going for civil services. So basically, if you are if you are a student of IT from IT Roorkee, then it gives you an orientation, and I feel a practical skill you have that from engineering that you are able to apply your knowledge well in the field as well. So, for example, with me, I've done my graduation in civil engineering. Okay, so there are many projects. For example, in police, uh, I have many infrastructure projects here. So basically, I am able to better comprehend those issues rather than any other person who is means he must be having some other graduation subject or some other background. So he would be able to comprehend those topics more. For example, if someone is from background of sociology or philosophy, then he would be able to comprehend more about the welfare issues. Means it's not that no other person also could not develop that, but he could certainly develop that. But a person who has a background of sciences or basically humanities, then he would be able to have a certain bent of mind to comprehend those topics. First is this, and second is I think knowledge never goes waste. So if you have gain knowledge in a particular graduation subject, then it will only be helpful for you in the longer run. Okay. See, in India, we have to decide our graduation subject beforehand. On our RAM basis, it get decided. It's not like that after first year you are given the chance to choose some other stream or some other subject you can choose. So it's not like that. So if you have been, for example, someone is in someone is in civil engineering, is interested in computer science or like those. So now in present times and during the internet era, it's very feasible for him to learn those softwares and all those languages through online. So he would be able to do that. So I don't think so that graduating from having subject in graduation and not taking that as an optional would in any way change that your that aspect for civil service. So the knowledge would always stay with you, and you can use it depending upon your skills you have attained during the college days.
Okay, that pretty
If you
much
have any
answers
further
the
query,
question.
then you can ask something.
Yeah. So let us move to the next question.
Okay.
Anshul, are you there?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, you are very much audible, sir. I think there must be some text.
I think we can take up some questions from the chat box till then.
Okay.
Kshitij is asking that he's planning to give the exam in 2023. So should he start preparing for the optional now or should he wait for some time?
Uh, Optional subject apart from his graduation subject. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir,
Apart
he's
from his
planning
graduation
to-
subject, if he's planning to take, he's planning to.
He's planning to give the civil service exam in 2023.
Okay. But he is not told about the graduation means which optional subject he would be taking, right?
No, sir, he didn't mention that.
So-
if he is taking his graduation subject as optional subject, then he can start preparation right now. Keep the syllabus, UPSC syllabus with him, and the college subjects which are taught to him, then he can cross-check that whether all the topics have been covered or not and prepare accordingly. And for knowing what type of questions are asked in UPSC from that particular topic, look for previous year question papers. And if you are choosing any other optional subject apart from your graduation subject, then you can start from basic books, not to go basic books and the strategy which is being given by other toppers or other institutes. So as to you can start your basic preparation right now.
So another person asking that how can we learn from our attempts in which we don't get qualified for the exam?
Okay.
How can we learn from them and apply
yes,
to the next?
That's very good question. Actually, see, firstly, you try that you succeed in your first attempt and learn from mistakes of other people. For example, I have qualified in fourth attempt, so my mistakes were like that. Firstly, I have chosen an optional. It was not a mistake. I have chosen an optional of public administration, so I changed it. So firstly, you think of choosing an optional in which you are comfortable and confident. So if you have chosen that optional, and afterwards you prepare accordingly. And from if you don't qualify in your first attempt, then look for it. You will be getting your marks. Okay. So in that marks, if you have not got good marks in ST, then work on it. If you have not good marks in GS1 or any of the paper, for example in ethics, then work on that subject and topic and practice more. So depending upon the marks you get in first attempt. If you have not been able to qualify prelims, then work on it that you do 20 to 25 questions of prelims every day from that day. And if you are, for example, in interview stage, if you are not qualified, then also if you have to see that in which subject or in which if you have not got good marks in interview also, then we have to work upon that. That you will be giving more marks next time. So depending upon the type of weakness you had in your first attempt, you have to work upon that. Hope that answers your query.
Yes, sir, that answers the query. So another question someone is asking is that how much time should we devote towards general studies and our optional subjects? And does general studies applying extra efforts in general studies can yield better results, or should the person focus more on the optional subject?
When we start your preparation, firstly you have to decide your optional. Once you have decided your optional, then work upon your optional. For example, if you are studying for 8 hours, then 4 to 5 hours must be devoted towards optional. Because the thing is of static and dynamic content. Your optional is a static content. Okay, so you have to prepare your static content thoroughly. If you have prepared your optional syllabus and have thoroughly analyzed the previous year question papers of optional, then you are thorough with that. Then afterwards, when you start your GS preparation, then in 8 hours, those 8 hours, do 6 hours of GS and 2 hours of revision of your optional. in G because GS has all those topics which are static in nature. For example, paper 4 is theories and all those parts are static in nature. So along with your optional, prepare static question of GS syllabus that you have to be thorough with. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so you are.
So, first you have to prepare the static portion of the optional syllabus and the GS syllabus thoroughly. Then after that, go for the current affairs. And this includes newspaper reading on the following magazines. Afterwards, you can go. In the starting, you can read the newspaper or follow websites like Insights on India, but you need not to be thorough with that. You have to firstly do this static part. Once the static part is complete, then you can go for the dynamic part and revise your static. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. So as you mentioned that you took a placement after graduation and then started preparing afterwards. So some
Yes,
students want to know that which is the more preferable way of preparation while like not opting for placements and giving UPSC examinations right after college, or taking a job for some job security and safety and then preparing sidewise.
See, in my case, the pattern was going to change. So I had to take that job or campus placement because of that. So if you are if you have decided that you would be going for civil, then go for it. And going just after college, it would be good. But if you are not decided that you are not sure that you would be giving civil and you have not made up your mind, then go for the on campus placement. Have a experience there in corporate life and or anything you want to do else you can do that. For example, you want to start an startup or something like that, then you can go for that. And afterwards, if you want to prepare that, you want that 1 or 2 year I would be trying these things, and afterwards if I don't feel good, then I would go for the rest. Then you can go with that also, no issues. So I think at any point of time you can start your preparation, but the more early you start, it would be good for you. That's it. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Um, was there any second part to that question? Could you repeat? Thank you.
No, sir, there wasn't any second part of that question. Yes. So there is one. When to start reading the newspaper? Like I haven't read any newspaper since my school life, and even now also I'm not reading newspaper. So
can you repeat, Anshul, please?
the question is how to get started with the newspaper if I haven't read any news in my life.
Okay, okay.
And which
No
newspaper
issue.
we have to read? The Hindu, the Indian Express, or any other?
See, firstly, you are getting news from actually the what news we receive, the medium has changed. For example, through Facebook, Instagram, people are getting news, and the medium must have been changed. But it's not like that. One person is not reading newspaper and he's not having any information what is happening in the outside world. So first is this. Second is, if you are going for a newspaper, then go for Hindu, because the Hindu is traditionally been a newspaper which has been followed by the UPSC aspirants, and it has got that what to say, that balanced approach. It might be some people might find out that most of the points given there are against the government or anything like that, but it's quite balanced. So if you want that to balance it more further, then you can read two newspapers, Hindu and the Indian Express. These two newspapers. But this but what I would like to say that these two newspapers should be read in the starting days, but after 1 or 2 months, when you get hold of the news that what type of news, what type of news you have to read for the UPSC syllabus, and what type of news makes sense for or have relevant content for UPSC, then go for then also you need to look on the websites like Insights on India. What they do is they filter out content from 8 to 9 newspapers and they give daily current affairs. So that way you can have the filtered information which is relevant for the UPSC. So reading a newspaper as a hobby in during college days is good. You can do that, but you also follow the website which has a consolidated content which is relevant for the UPSC, and this would save time because you won't be able to physically read 8 to 9 newspapers, but these websites they what they do is they filter out the content and only give the relevant content in their daily current affairs, and they also give 4 to 5 questions daily. You can go for any website which you find comfortable. When I was preparing, this website had come up, Insights on India. You can go for any website. IS Baba is there, or many websites have come up recently. So you can go for any website. But reading newspaper you should be reading newspaper just for knowing what is happening all around and how to write any answer or something like that. Otherwise, as far as preparation is concerned, it's always better to invest your time in these websites or monthly magazines, because daily you can go for these websites, and in monthly compilations you can have the compilation of monthly current affairs, because we have to make the content precise and concise. Otherwise, it won't be possible for you to revise it again and again and revise it before the exam. So it's always best to go for precise and concise content. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir, that makes very clear. Okay, so there is a lot of confusion regarding taking coaching. So should we take the coaching during our college or after this graduation? The other thing is, and because of this online semester, we can't take the offline coachings. So is there any relevant online coaching available?
Okay. See, firstly, the thing is that if you have an optional subject in which you require coaching, then you can take that coaching. Otherwise, I feel for GS part, it's not required that coaching. You can prepare because online material is available. You can prepare accordingly. Okay. So coaching is not required as far as GS is concerned. Neither for means this is for the content part. You can join mock test series. That's altogether a different thing. But for preparation part, I think it's not beneficial to join a coaching for GS part. For optional part, if you have a graduation subject, then you need not to join. But if you have any other subject apart from graduation subject, then you can join. For example, I joined coaching for my option, that was anthropology, and afterwards I had joined test series. So you can always take test series, but I don't think it's important to join coaching for the GS part. Okay, so test series and for optional, you can have that in coaching. And secondly, if offline coachings are not available, then to take online coaching. I think all the material is available in the internet. So on internet, so you can read from that. I don't think that online, because they charge too much amount. So it's not, I think, beneficial. If you do the cost benefit analysis, then it won't be beneficial for you to join an online coaching. So it's always good to analyze that would this coaching be beneficial for me? It's better that you make a group of 4 to 5 like-minded people and who are preparing for civil services, and then you can have 2 to 3 questions, same questions, writing, and then each one of you check other people answers. That way it would be more beneficial. Otherwise, I think and online, as far as content is concerned, it's all available on the internet. And nowadays, every person's strategy, proper strategy is out on the internet, so you can have that. So it would be good for you to see those strategies and make your own strategy and read those books depending upon the strategy that is mentioned there. That main basic books are mentioned there. When you go read those books and prepare your notes accordingly. Joining online coaching won't be beneficial, I believe. So only for optional and for test series you can go for coaching. I think I have answered your question.
Okay, so if we talk about GS, then we can prepare it on our own. So what things should we do for GS?
See, firstly you have to see the syllabus. Syllabus is paper one. In paper one, you have topics of modern history. Modern history topics to be covered from spectrum. Okay. Then you have culture. Culture could be covered from notes of Nitin Singhania or any other culture book. Spectrum book is also there on culture. You can go for that. Okay. Now you have the source that you have to read for this particular topic. Then you must be thinking that what type of questions are asked, what could be asked. So you go for previous year question paper. There are previous year question papers who are categorized as per the subject or as per the topic. So you will be able to see that, okay, from culture, these types of questions have been asked from 2013 onwards. Previous year question paper means from 2013 onwards because the pattern changed from that year. So you would be able to see 9 to 10 years questions, and then you will be able to guess, okay, we have to read this particular topic or any topic in that way. Okay. Questions won't be repeating in UPSC, but you will be able to get the theme or the pattern in which or the way UPSC asks the question. Okay. So this is GS paper 1. Like that, GS paper 2 for quality you have Lakshmikant. Lakshmikant has all the content in it. Only few topics have not been covered that you can cover from any other from internet or from other institutes who provide some value-added content for example, Vision Eyes provides. I've read from that. That's available on Telegram also nowadays, or from the shop outlets in Delhi. Okay. Then paper 3 it's science and tech and all those things are also available in that. And then paper 4 ethics. Read every topic of ethics and prepare notes either from psychology NCERT or from internet or any book like that of Aryan you can have, or any other book which is based on ethics. Okay. So you first decide the source which you would be referring to, and then secondly, to know what type of questions are asked, go for previous year question paper. And I have also floated that Telegram group of mine. If you wanted to ask any question, then you can ask from any aspirant who is from any successful candidate. You can also ask on my Telegram group. I would be answering it. So I don't think so that there will be any problem.
Yes. We have shared that through email also.
Okay.
So there is one student asking, sir, I want to ask that many UPSC aspirants have sufficient knowledge of the optional and the rest of the subjects, but many of us have problem in representing our thoughts in answers.
Okay.
Or we can say we have the lack of ability in answer writing in attractive and a relevant way. So please guide me a way to improve my writing skills.
Okay. I missed that second part. Please repeat that again.
So please guide me a way to improve my writing skills.
Try to that.
Prior to that, it was many of us have problem in representing our thoughts, or we can say that we have the lack of ability of answer writing in a attractive and a relevant way.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. Attractive. See, the answers need not to be. You have to write in that way, in which it answers the needs of a question. So, for example, firstly you have to see what the question is demanding. So then afterwards you have to answer the question holistically so that it covers the dimensions and the demands of the question. So to improve your answer writing, it would be better, like I said previously, that you make a group of 4 to 5 like-minded people and then write on the same 2 to 3 questions. Okay. You can do this, for example, from your, like presently you are staying at your home, so you can do that. You float 2 to 3 questions, same questions, and everyone could answer that question. Afterwards, you would see that everyone has his or her own perspective as far as question is concerned, and he would be answering in his or her own way. So that way, you have to write a single answer which would be able to comprehend all those 4 to 5 dimensions or 4 to 5 perspectives. That means you can try for that. So this way, you will be able to improve on your answer writing skills. Always go for 2 to 3 questions daily. Not not to go for 25 or 22 questions full marks. Full marks are not helpful. They are only helpful when you have gained the content and you are good at writing, answer writing. So after prelims, you can go for full marks so that you can increase your speed to answer 20 or 25 questions. Otherwise, it's always beneficial to write 2 to 3 questions daily. Okay, 2 to 3 questions daily would improve your answer writing skills drastically. And once, for example, today you have written 2 to 3 questions, then tomorrow you see write 2 to 3 questions within the time limit. For example, 3 questions, maximum half an hour, 30 minutes. Ideally, it should be 20-25 minutes, but okay, in 30 minutes you write 3 questions. Okay. Now afterwards you realize that you analyze your mistakes, which dimension you missed, or what you had learned in that on the topic and you have not written in the answer. So revise your content. So that way you would be improving the answer writing. Means it could be fault of not remembering the content you have read, or it could be the fault of you have read, you have learned, but you are not able to produce it in your answer. So for that, revise it again and again. Okay. So revision is the key in that case. So depending upon the weakness you have in your answer writing skill, you have to improve upon. Okay. And writing 2 to 3 questions daily would help you notice that or rectify that mistake. Firstly, to identify that mistake, to rectify that mistake. I think that answers your question. Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir. So most of the students were asking about the answer writing. So I think everyone's doubt is clear now.
Okay.
One student is asking, what should be my sources for current affairs for one cycle of UPSC? I am an aspirant with a PSU job. He is currently doing a PSU job and he wants to know about the sources for current affairs.
Okay. So sources for current affairs, firstly, for daily current affairs, you can go for any website like Insights on India. First, second is for monthly, you can go for monthly magazines of Vision IS or IS Bobby or any compilation. For in those compilations, you read, for example, if you have Vision IS compilation, Insights compilation, or IS Baba compilation, you read one. For 1 month, you read all those 3 compilations. Okay. Then you find out yourself that which one is more thorough. If you find out that Insights compilation is more thorough and you are more confident and comfortable with that, then follow that. And then read that compilation religiously for every month. Okay. And also make sure that you see the index of other compilations so that you don't miss any topic or issue. The main aim is to prepare every topic and have relevant quality 200 to 250 words content on every topic. So firstly, you have read that monthly compilation. Then after that monthly compilation, go for the index of other monthly compilations so that you make sure that no issue or topic is missed. If any extra topic or issue is there in any other compilation, then make note of that topic in your own compilation of Insights or any compilation you have made as your parent source, so that you have only one source to revise again and again. Otherwise, if we don't have any single source or we have limited source, then it won't be possible for us to revise again and again as well as before the exam. Okay, so for daily current affairs, you have a website. For monthly, you have a monthly magazine. And after a month is complete, when you receive that monthly magazine, also do this exercise that from daily current affairs, you make sure that no issue or topic is missed. Okay, so you copy that. If any topic or issue is missed, you copy that also that topic or issue in your monthly magazine. This way, you only have for a month, you have only one monthly magazine compilation to read up and to learn. And after that, for current affairs, this you read every month, and before mains you revise those monthly compilations and go for exam. I think for current affairs, these sources are more than enough. You can go for Yojana and Kurukshetra magazine, and also for that magazines as well. For example, we have in 1 year 12 Yojana magazines. You read them and make notes of those magazines. One A4 size sheet per Yojana is more than enough. Otherwise, don't highlight that in the Yojana. Otherwise, you won't be able to revise them before the exam. So while you are reading any subject, any course, you have to make sure that you have to understand that how this course will be useful for me in the exam. Second, how I would be able to retain that content, relevant content before the exam. If I'm not able to revise that content, then it won't be useful for me. Okay. So for current affairs, first is daily current affairs, then monthly magazine, and then then Yojana or Kurukshetra you can follow. I had followed that only. And if any other source you find that it's useful, then for example YouTube videos are there. You also do that video, also watch their videos, but always make sure that any extra relevant content you see or you watch or you read, you make notes of those content in your monthly magazine, so that in the end you have 12 monthly magazines which are having all the which is basically a compilation of all your current affairs sources you have referred to in the past years, and so that would make easy revision as well as easy, help you in revising in a better way, effective way for the exam. I hope that answers your question.
So can you please put the name of the magazines in the chat box? Possible now, or otherwise you can send it later on and we will just forward that.
I would message it on my group. I have a Telegram group now. I would message it on that group, or
Okay,
I
sir,
would
that
message it to you. You can
Yes,
or
sir,
Abhishek
we'll
can
forward it.
message. Okay.
There is one more question from a few students. Like they have studied in the school in Hindi medium.
Okay.
So they are finding some difficulty in writing answers in English.
Okay.
So what can be done for them?
If they are if they are more comfortable with Hindi, then they can go with Hindi medium. It would be good for them, because main aim is to express your thoughts, your content you have learned in the best possible manner during the mains examination. So if that is possible with Hindi, then go with that medium. So Hindi or English or any other language is just a medium. The main aim is to put your content in the best possible manner during the exam. So if it's possible in Hindi, then go with that. I hope it answers.
Okay.
Yes. So I think we have had some very good questions and they have been answered very well by you. So I just wanted to mention that Amit sir has a Telegram channel in which he will be answering if you have some other queries that couldn't be answered today due to shortage of time. He would be taking up those queries in his Telegram channel. So to wrap up the session, I would ask one last question. So what can we do to stand apart from other candidates in interviews?
See, it's not about that you have to make yourself unique. Whatever you have, you should present. You should be able to present that. Everyone is unique in his own way. So you just make sure that what you have or what you possess, your skills, or be it your skills or be it your knowledge, you are able to present that. Firstly, the knowledge has been tested in mains examination. During prelims examination and during mains examination, they have tested your knowledge. So they won't be testing during the interview. They are not testing your knowledge. They are just testing how you are able to present your knowledge, and how is the presentation point. And second is how confident you are while you are facing the board, and how you are able to tackle the dynamic questions they ask. For example, presently in the present scenario, they always ask that if you are the collector of a district and a flood, if there is a disaster, for example, any flood is there, then what you would do. So what they are thinking of that how strategically you are able to think and how strategically you are able to plan and prioritize your task. So basically, it's all about how you are able to present your thoughts. So having clarity in thoughts and having clarity in your presentation skills, that's what matters during the interview. So it's not about making it's not about that we should be thinking on those lines that how I would be different from any other candidate, but how would be able to present my knowledge, what I have gained in the way which would make me unique. Okay, so the thinking should be of being able to present your own knowledge in the best possible manner. That would make you unique. No issues with that. I hope that answers the question. If you have any further queries, you can ask.
Yes, sir. Almost every query is resolved, and I think now we can end the session maybe.
Pardon, Anshul?
So no more queries are there in this from the student side. Almost every query is
Okay.
resolved.
Okay.
So I think we can. One more thing, Tanmay sir has shared the link of the Telegram channel that Amit sir has created. So the students who want to join that, you can use that link. It is in the chat box.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anshul, and other teammates
Yes, yes.
who called me.
Thank you so much, Amit sir,
It was
for
very good.
guiding us and taking time out of your busy schedule. And thank you to Dean of Resources and Alumni also, and the members of Dora office also. Thank you to all the participants also for being with us till the end of the talk and making this new initiative, ACT Chapter 1 Samvad, a very successful event. Thank you all and goodbye. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.